Welcome back to another episode of Musicians Exchange Podcast. This is season 2. I'm happy to have you guys here with me. I have some good friends here. This episode particularly is going to be on mental health in the musician community. And I'll let them introduce themselves.
So my name is Hoskins. I am a singer, musician, and I also am a psychologist in the state of North Carolina. So I have kind of do both worlds.
Dope.
All right. My name is Jamel Holloway, bass player from Durham, North Carolina. Also have had some studies in the field of mental health coming from the law enforcement side.
I'm Dietrix Urquhart. I'm actually a mental health provider in the state of North Carolina. Several experience in mental health and substance abuse world. Pretty much.
That's what's up, man. Well, I appreciate y'all coming through, man, and taking time out your schedule to help the next generation. Let's start right here, I guess. What is mental health?
Mental health, everybody has mental health. So everybody, black, white, red, male, female, we all have it, right? It's just your quality of being, your mental, right? Mental illness is the impairment of your mental health, okay? And so we all focus on protecting our mental health, but everybody doesn't have mental illness. So that's something we'll talk about throughout the course of this podcast, but pretty much that's the difference.
Okay. Dope. Is that your take too?
That's definitely my take.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Like Gene said, pretty much mental illness falls under this aspect of mental health. And mental health is what you try to protect on a day-to-day basis in your life. You always try to protect your mental health so you don't fall under a certain mental illness and get to a certain low point in life. Or a super high point in life.
So a lot of times mental health is just your quality of sleep, your quality of how you view things, quality of emotions is all that. It comes together. It's an umbrella of your mental health.
Bro, that's a real field. Like, I don't know if I'd have studied it because it's a lot. It can go a bunch of different directions.
Absolutely.
And you got to know what you're talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That part.
Very much so.
This is why I brought y'all in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had a question as it pertains to musicians. We know mental health. We know what that is. And we somewhat know what physical health is. One of y'all explain that real quick, because my question is, which one is more important?
Both.
I was going to say both to me, physical and mental health is both. It's very important because if the mind is not well, your body is not either. Mm-hmm. So the mind follows the body. So they're both very important and go hand to hand.
Yeah, I would definitely say both are definitely important, but I guess to me, more importantly, is your mental health too. Because if you're not where you want to be at, stable, if you're not in a stable place in your mind, then that won't allow you to work out. It won't allow you to do a lot of things that you want to do. So most importantly, like whether you're healthy or trying to be healthier, always protect your mind, because your mind is gonna take you where you want to go ultimately. So if you're having a good day, you'll get up and say, "Oh man, I'm having a great day today. Let me at least try to go walk a mile or do something physical or go outside and get some sunlight or something." But if you're in a bad mental state, then you'll just be like, let me just stay in the house and Netflix and eat my way out of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, I would say I think both are equally important. I've seen people who have abs of steel, but their mentals are
the whole
depressed. And so it's like you have the physical appearance, but your inner is disturbed. You're detached from reality. You have auditory hallucinations. You're suicidal. So it looks good and appealing on the outside, but on the inside there's the need for work. And then vice versa, you have individuals who may be well in their mind, but they struggle with diabetes and hypertension. It's like you're still going to suffer. So I think having an equal balance of both of them, recognizing the importance of both of them. I think for so long we've always focused on physical health, and we always negated the impact and importance of mental health. And I'm so glad the last 5 years we've seen a move to really focus on mental health and kind of what it does when it's not really cared for.
Right. I'm glad you even, you explained that, because I was talking to one of my coworkers at work, and I was like, I asked him that question. Hey, what you think? Which one is more important? Me, I would say both. Clearly, he was just like, well, for a drummer, I was like, nah, I need you to think deeper than that, bro. Like, you could be on a show in LA, big shows, big stage, and be depressed out your mind. You know what I mean? And yeah, I had fun that 45 minutes. Yeah, I made my money, but I'm not happy. And you end up going to kill yourself or whatever. So all of that matters. I feel like I agree. It's both.
It's both.
You
Yeah.
know.
And
both.
I've been lucky enough in the last 4 years to kind of travel the world singing, and some of the people I've run into as far as singers and musicians, and like when they call my phone, they can make thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars, but when they call me, they have no peace. Like they're depressed. They're suicidal.
You would be surprised.
You'll be
bro.
surprised. A lot of big names. You'll be surprised when
Yes.
call my phone and ask questions like, "How do I address this?" Because I don't care how much money you have.
Yeah.
Life is going to happen.
I think from my personal experience, even in the mental health world, money was at a particular time was great, but my mental was drained. I was done. I was exhausted. I was burnt out. And when I did close the business, it felt like a huge burden was off of me. So it definitely, money is not the key to think you're just gonna be happy. Or
I would even say money and opportunity isn't necessarily either. Like if you're not equipped for the platforms and stages you aspire to be, if you don't have the necessary skills to cope with the demands of the stage and the platform, it's gonna really
get you.
It's gonna get you. Like you have to be sure you're ready.
Yeah, because for example, like
That's real, yo.
I did a tour with like George Tizell when I first started playing bass, and I thought it was like one of the best opportunities because I'm like, hey, I'm a new bass player. And a lot of people don't get the tour and stuff like that. It wasn't like a major tour, but for me, it was like a great opportunity. But knowing what I know now, if I'd have known then, I wouldn't have never done it because my son was born and he had a heart murmur. So he was in and out of UNC hospital. And here I am
on the road
in New York, like, like, is he okay? And I'm just like, listening to his mom, and she's like, no, he's not okay. And I'm just like, well, you told me I could go, but I mean, at the same time, it was covering up, and I'm just getting off the phone, like in the back of the car, just like crying, and my boy's like, yo, you all right? And I'm like, I gotta go home. Like, I have to go home. Like, that's the importance.
I gotta deal with life.
Yeah, right. And like you said, with the opportunities coming, sometimes your mental health is just way bigger. It's way bigger than an opportunity. Like you said, you can get called to go overseas, and if you're not in that mental capacity, it's just like,
how many people do we see? How many people do we see like on Instagram and Twitter? How many musicians and rappers do we see coping with drugs? Like,
and
it's not just that. And people act like it's just the new generation of rappers. It's not. Look at Whitney. Look at Prince. Like, all of them had something. Michael Jackson. All of them was addicted to something. And I think it's important to realize that those demands of that platform, you got to make sure you mentally prepared or have the coping strategies to deal with the stress, or even the stress of comparison, the stress to be number one, the stress to be the best. Like, that's a whole nother thing.
I mean, I'm glad we even talking about that because we'll go straight there. I was gonna ask, what are some causes of mental illness in the musician community? And something that I pretty much came up with was like financial strains, doubt.
So I wouldn't say that would be a cause of mental illness. I say it would be impact on mental health.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So I think financial strain could impact your mental. That's for anybody.
Yeah.
When you don't know where that money will come in, you're gonna be stressed out.
Straight up though.
Yeah.
And how you cope with it. I mean, I think it's a level of coping of stability too to mental health to become to a mental illness standpoint of being diagnosed. So, like he said, we all have some capacity of mental health.
Yeah.
With us.
Definitely the comparison game.
Yeah.
Like, that's definitely something that will eat you alive if you don't.
And that's
get it if you don't get it under wraps, because it's older people, and it comes with age and with everything.
It don't even come with age, bro. Like, cats that have been on the road, they still intimidated by it.
It's
I literally had a conversation with somebody yesterday, multiple platinum selling artists, and they still struggling with it.
Yeah, wow. Because I think for people that have been there, they feel like, oh, okay, well, and I can't say personally, but just in my opinion, it's like people that have been on those platforms, it's just like, well, we've been there, but it's just like, now they look at the younger generation or they look at us, and it's just like, wow, like, you're coming up really fast. Like, you're coming up like faster than I did. I had to do this. I had to do X, Y, and Z. And
we had YouTube.
This is what you didn't have. But I mean, a lot of people forget that your door is your door.
Right.
So you have to actually go back to the basis of like, well, this is what built my character to get me there, and this is not what's going to be your story. So I think it also comes with just a respect thing. Like, just because I got on the road before you did, or you got on the road before I did. Well, it was just about how your characteristic was, who you knew at the time, and it was your time. Right. And I think a lot of people struggle with the comparison of you need to know when your time is going to be your time and let that person enjoy them and just praise them. Like, not praise them in a crazy type of way, but just be like, my man, I'm glad you're doing what you're doing. Bro. Yeah, celebrate them.
Yeah, I said something earlier this week. Like, I think when we recognize we have different populations of different audiences, we'll realize there's really no need to compete at all. Because there's so many people out here, you cannot adequately give everybody your gift. Like, when you recognize that I am assigned to this certain amount of people, then I ain't got to compete with you or feel like I have to compete with you because the way I do it, the way it's been done by me, it was supposed to be done that way.
Right.
I mean, my circle, personally, to me, I make sure that my circle is very supportive. To eliminate the comparison and competing stuff. I'm around a group of people that we literally support one another. And so for us to do that, we try to ignite some of that to other individuals, as far as customers that we have or in mental health, like business owners. We try to ignite some of that same energy towards that. And it's a powerful impact because it eliminates the jealousy. It eliminates the competition because it's like we formulating as a team.
Yeah, I think that's a lot different when it comes to the musician world because it's like
even the homies be envying you, bro. Like on the low, like
very much so.
What?
Yeah,
like we here to help.
It's always rooted in insecurity. You always
very much so.
Anytime you find the root cause,
definitely insecurity.
Always
but it literally exposes itself all the time. It literally will expose itself all the time.
Like,
you can hide it for a certain amount of time, but it literally will expose itself.
Be sure in who you are. I mean, so this is y'all field. I just want to make sure I'm saying. So would you say that could help it? Like once you're sure in who you are and what you're capable of, being a musician.
But see, me, I can't really speak about a musician. I'm not an artist. I'm not a musician. I observe and I observe a lot. And I literally have observed Gene for years. So me speaking from just looking out, I think it would help. But you have to know who you are in any position,
at the end of the day.
That's what I'm saying. Singing wise and all that. Like,
because it's going to be these little kids coming out at 11 and 12 singing circles around. You guys just know that
you got to know who you are and be confident in your craft.
And I always go to like a spiritual thing. Like I said, there's certain people who, when I sing or when so and so sing, they're going to hear it based on how my sound is, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Like George Tisdale, you talked about him. He has that interesting sound.
Yeah, he does.
We may not have the same group of people.
Right.
And if we recognize, like, God didn't give everybody, he gave more than one drummer the ability to drum because one drummer may be killing in Asia, another may be killing in Antarctica. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't be assigned to every region. Yeah. And so recognizing that your gift was given for a purpose and a reason and that you do have an assignment with it, you'll be like, well, you know what's really no need for me to compete. And you also got to make sure that you're not letting the machine of the industry drive that too, because that machine is a whole different thing.
Yeah. And like you said, I guess, not even I guess, it's more important of knowing who you are. Like, me personally, I have my circle of friends, we all do something. I have friends in law enforcement. I have friends that like to work out. I got friends that don't like to work out. I got friends that are musicians. So me keeping my mind sharp to other things doesn't weigh me down to just one thing. Because if I just had a musician circle, and I'd be like, oh, who you working with? Boy. Oh, who you working with? Yeah. And you'd be like, go home and be like, well, dang, I need to practice. Yeah, you need to practice. But at the same time, to get away from that music world, sometimes I'll go to the gym and work out with my sister or somebody and be like, all right, what are we going to work on today? I'm not even thinking about these things.
Right.
And then, like you were saying, Gene, it's just to the point where I think when everybody gets more comfortable with the idea of we can all be used in different places.
Yeah.
Like you might be in Asia. I might be in China. Yeah. Doesn't really matter. This world is big enough, and the things that we're all doing with our crafts, it's enough for everybody out here. You just have to be comfortable and wait your turn.
So I think what I heard you say is that pretty much our whole identity shouldn't be tied in the fact that we're a drummer or singer.
Yeah.
Your identity should be I am a drummer, but I'm also a father.
Have a life.
Yeah.
Balance.
I'm a father. I'm a good friend. I'm a brother. And I think what happens is when we tie our identity to one thing, when that one thing is threatened, then our whole world is threatened.
Yeah.
That's real.
That's all facts.
And you can allow other people to tie you to their identity too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the biggest, because everybody will look at you and say, "Oh, he's just a singer." They will never know you're a psychologist.
Yeah.
So my thing with that, what if you're a full-time musician? It's like, yeah, you still a father, yeah, you a brother, but how do you cope with that situation? If that's what you do full-time.
It's still a job. Like, my full-time job is a psychologist, but I travel still. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I let myself know I'm not just that one thing. And I think, because if you identify as that one thing, that one time that thing is threatened, you be like, well, who am I? Because
that's
I thought I had this on lock. I thought this was all I am. It's like, no, you're more than that.
And I have a mantra for me personally. I have a mantra that I stand by, and it's called STD. No, it's not a disease.
You said, wait.
Explain that, bro.
Wait. What's the wait a minute? On the other news,
it's literally called STD,
that
and that means.
turn.
So let me break that down to you. It's called self-care, time management, and documentation. Right. So I feel that you can't do anything from a mental standpoint, physical standpoint, if you do not do any self-care for yourself.
Absolutely not.
Right? So in that self-care, that means Dietrix has to take care of him in any shape, form, or fashion through self-care so I can be well. So I look at myself as an antidote or antibiotic. I have to give the proper dose to my clients, whether it's mental health or the marketing standpoint. I have to get my and I have to be well in order to do that. So that's how I look at life too. You got to be well. Because time management gonna go out the window if you don't do self-care.
Right.
Documentation for anything is gonna go out the window. It's not gonna be. You can be disorganized, and everything. So that mantra to me, it stands. And when we speak about mental health, a lot of people don't want to say it, but I'm gonna say it. Mental health to me is just ministry. That's it. If we look over all of my experiences, everything has a spiritual component.
Okay.
So break it down, brother.
I'm not saying that if you haven't worked in the field of mental health that you won't go through the other experiences, but I believe in my heart when you worked in mental health, you can really work in any industry because you know the mind.
Okay.
You have more experience than a regular person due to all the clients and the challenges and stuff like that. You can work at any business. You can create anything strategically because you done worked in the field of mental health.
Okay. I follow you.
That's real.
I was speaking to someone today. I was speaking to a credit repair person today. And I don't know anything about credit repair. That's why I went to her. So I'm in the process of trying to buy a house. So I was like, you show me this. And she was just like, well, I was trying to get in the field of mental health and everything. And she was asking particular questions. And I was like, well, if you can do mental health, you can probably, I wouldn't say better your business, but have other ideas of how to bring clients into your company. And because it really teaches you, mental health in this field, it teaches you so much about yourself, but also other ways, and from a business standpoint, how to strategically plan for growth. I would just say growth. Does that make sense?
I agree.
It does make sense.
I would say even down to, for those who are, might not be able to keep up with what we talking about, down to the musicians, as far as knowing who you are, like you said, know what you're capable of. So if we had an event and all the homies there and we all hating, and some cats is killers and some cats is just like, whatever, I'm gonna play for the group and get it done, to play what we rehearse. And some cats, they get peer pressured and they feel like they gotta kill, like, and you out here taking L's, like, that wasn't the mission. You got off track. You lost focus, and then you go home beating yourself up, doubting yourself, and it. To me, I feel like like you said, you have to know who you are. Like, I know.
And also, like, to be honest, people that get the gigs are the ones that do what they're supposed to do and not be trying to kill.
Yeah.
Like,
and the ones the ones that are getting the gigs, they see the other. I don't want to say other generation or younger generation, because it be old folk doing it. It's like they see, this cat clearly don't be gigging that much because he out here trying to impress me, and I don't care. We all here on the same bill trying to have fun. The thing
is, can you play the music you was given without, what I mean?
You out here looking
preach about it somebody.
You.
Yeah. Play the music, go home, get that chick.
That's it, man. So I agree that matters, man. I mean, so would you guys consider not having enough time for family, relationships, and God? Would that be like a cause of mental illness?
Not mental illness. I think it would impact your mental health. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. I think number one, anytime you don't have balance of boundaries, that is going to always impact your quality of being, right? Some people you need. I know when I have to be around family. I know when I got to be around friends. I know when I need time to myself to refill. I know when I need time away. I think when you don't pay attention to those signs and you continue to move and move and move and move, that's when you kind of run into that wall. It's like, okay, I don't know what's going on right now. I'm not well. It's not a physical wellness, but I'm not well in my emotions and my mental. And you know that.
Yeah. I think a lot of people that struggle with purpose struggle with balance too. Mm-hmm. Like if you struggle with like, well, I went to college for this. Like a lot of times you talk to people and you be like, oh, what did you go to school for? Mm-hmm. Oh, I went to school for hospitality and tourism. Okay, what do you do now? I manage Chick-fil-A. It's like, all right, well, you're kind of in your field, but are you excited about it? And it's like, cool. So it's just like, I think the basis of it is purpose. The basis of it is purpose. Like once you understand your purpose, like just a little bit, then you can fully almost balance yourself. You can talk to God first and say, well, you know what, God, I feel like this is my purpose and this is my plan. And then you go from there. You strive for what you want to do in your field, in an industry, with music. And then you strive for better relationships with your mom, dad, kids, if you have them, brothers, sisters. And then you just balance off just like that. You strive for better relationships with yourself, number one, and then you give to other people, because giving too much of yourself will kill your mental health. It definitely will kill your mental health. And it will kill you physically, and then it'll drive you. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, if you give too much of yourself, in my opinion, you will drive yourself to a mental illness.
It could be, yeah. So mental illness, a lot of times, I know we keep going there.
We're using it out of turn.
Yeah, no, I'm explaining. But that's why we have moments like this. So mental illness is anything where you can have a genetic predisposition to it, meaning somebody in your family had it, right? Oh. You can have an extreme, or not necessarily extreme, psychosocial stressor, right? Losing something, the death of someone, grief, any of that can trigger a mental illness, right? Yes. When we look at mental illness, major depressive disorder is considered one. Schizophrenia is as well. Bipolar is considered something. Yeah. All those have a high genetic predisposition. So that's when it's diagnosable. Mm-hmm. And we can go to DSM-5, right? Mm-hmm. Which is our diagnostic statistical manual. Is considered the Bible of mental health. We can go in there and diagnose it. That's when you have a mental illness. Substance abuse is considered mental illness as well. Mm-hmm. So that's mental illness. Again, like I said, mental health is more so the quality of your mental state, the quality of your emotions, how you deal, how you sleep, how you balance, and how you implement boundaries. That's more so the mental health component.
Yeah, and I think it's important that I'm glad you're here, honestly, to explain it, because like whoever this blesses or whoever listens to this really needs to understand the difference, because a lot of people joke about it, and it's like a lot of people are
depressed.
Yeah,
and I think
a lot of creatives are, and I'll tell you why.
Well, I think it's culturally too. I think when it comes to us as a European descent, or African American culture, we were told it's like more of a shut up back in the days. Like if someone did have mental illness, it wasn't really called. It was like they was crazy, right? But it was more shunned because it was an embarrassment or shame. I mean, even to other races too. I have seen that even working in previous group homes, that they just put them in a spot and they don't bother with them. So it's like they're out of mind. I don't want to deal with it. So I think now, thank God for people such as you, that the world is being educated, because it's like mental health is everywhere now.
Yeah. Well, it's been everywhere. It's just been like in the 60s and talked about. In the 60s and 70s, you say, Uncle John that talking that tree, he just silly.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the cover up.
Yeah, it's the cover up for it.
He's simple.
Yeah.
Right. So it's been happening. We just really didn't discuss it. Or you'd be like, so and so, Auntie Mary went to a hospital for 6 months. We don't know why she went.
Right.
When you really start talking to family members, you'll realize it's been in their bloodline. They just didn't really talk about it. Really, the reason you said a lot of musicians are depressed, creatives are, because a lot of times we tie what we're able to create to who we are. And when we create something and it's critiqued negatively, then we feel like we're critiqued negatively, right? And so we have to be sure that what we create isn't
who we are.
Who we are. It's an extension of who we are.
Being an artist, same thing, right?
Yeah. Like I mean, when I put out my first individual EP last year, and I remember it was like, oh gosh, I had to dread. Like I'm putting this out. I'm nervous. This is my writing. This is my arranging, and I had to remind myself like this is not who I am. It's a piece of me that I'm putting out, but it's not me in the totality, right? Because art is subjective. It's some people that's out here killing drums. You be like, oh, they whack. And then some people they be like, no, they dope.
Yeah.
You can do it with singers. You can be like, one singer's dope. You be like, I don't really care for them. Right? Art is subjective. And so I think a lot of creators got to remember that just in creating, that once you create is art and is easily critiqued or easily praised, but that shouldn't be who you shouldn't. It should define who you are.
That's good. Yeah.
That's important. That's important too, because like you even said, like I remember when I first started like stepping in, like entertaining the idea, because coming out of high school, I did music and stuff like that, but I was just like, you know what, I really don't want to go to college for music. I want to go to college for law enforcement, do my bid and get out. My grandma was like, nah, like you need to be a musician, and I was like, okay, whatever. So even stepping into the musician world at a young age, I never, like you said, I would listen to people and be like, wow, that really, man, they sound okay. And then I would listen to somebody else and be like, dang, they are really smashing. But the more I started perfecting my craft on bass and started like writing stuff and putting it out, I started respecting other people's crafts or respecting our creative genius. Because I was like, I sat in this room literally 3 hours to record 3 minutes of a song, and I put my heart and soul into it. And like you said, I'm putting a piece of me out there. And then if I post it on IG or something like that, and I don't get like 47 likes in the 3 minutes I didn't put it up, I'm like,
and don't go to nobody else's page. They got 1,000.
It tears you up.
I copied the same thing.
Yeah, it tears you up, but you have to be, like you said, you got to be important. It's just important to just get that balance, back to that balance. Like, okay, I'm going to create this. It might take me 3 hours, but it takes me 3 hours. Like, whoever likes it, cool. Whoever doesn't like it, it's just not for them. But at the same time, whoever is doing the same thing that you're doing, you got to respect it.
So, I mean, it is important knowing, who you are and stuff like that. One of my friends, DeAndre, he brought up a situation with, the artist Summer Walker, where she, made a statement saying she was facing too much anxiety. So she, pretty much canceled the rest of her tour. What do you guys think about that? How important that is?
So she said she has social anxiety disorder. Typically, when you have social anxiety disorder, it could be paired with something called agoraphobia, where you don't want to leave the house. She may deal with some kind of anxiety. I don't think it's as deep as she's making it seem.
Right.
I am not judging her when I say this.
Right.
You used to be a stripper, so I don't know how.
Never mind.
I don't know. I'm not trying to be funny.
No.
If you're gonna be judged,
see, I didn't even know that. Though. I didn't even know that though. See,
to me, I don't think she has social anxiety at all.
She may deal with anxiety. I just think she's using an excuse. But like when she came to Canada and she came late on stage at Drake's thing, and like she was on stage like 10 minutes left, and then was in the street playing. Just like, if you just gonna have a trifling work ethic, say you have a trifling work ethic, but don't hide behind. Do I think she has some kind of anxiety? Possibly. I don't know if it's as deep as she making it seem. And had she not had that stripper background, I would have been like, okay.
Yeah.
But if you really have a fear of being judged, you wouldn't be on the pole.
Yeah, because you didn't get up there and close your eyes.
You
didn't get up there and close your eyes.
Because like Andre 3000 just came out and said he dealt with anxiety and he won't put out another project because he has a fear that it won't be as good as Love Below, which I completely understand that.
Yeah, that would be.
So, going forward, for the musician community and stuff like that, I know we talked about the difference between mental illness and mental health, and knowing yourself and just being sure and having a relationship with God. Let me ask you that: how important is it to be a musician or artist and have a relationship with God? Let's throw him in there.
I don't want to get too deep, but if we're made in the image of God who creates, and we are creators, I think it's important to be tied to the source of your creativity.
Facts.
Right. I think it's important to be tied to that.
Period.
Right.
That's mine.
You don't know who? Yeah. Me and Mel used to make a joke, and I'm glad because it's growth. I told my bro I'm proud of him, man. Like, he used to joke a lot bro got a smart mouth, and it's all love. Like, and the same for me, bro. Like, it's when I tell you it's growth, it's so much growth. It's like we'll joke about it, and then I think it was like 2 years ago we was at a gig, and it was just like it's time to upgrade friends, bro. And it was just like niggas would joke on you because you know God or you serve God or you go to church, and it's like, oh, all of my friends, we was joking around. We was saying around Durham Tech like, yo, all our friends, like if none of my friends or my friends don't go to, if they don't serve God or they don't go to church. It's like, nah, I'm cool on you.
Pretty
like,
much.
At what point are you gonna tap in or reach out or?
That's my first question for anybody, whether it's just musicianship, whether it's anything. Like, I don't just throw it out there because I don't try to disrespect anybody's religious background. But for me personally, I'm just like, so how do you feel about God?
What
do you know about the name?
Beyond the instrument.
What do you know? And if you don't know anything,
I can help. Like, I can help you.
I can't exactly. The job is to be a disciple. At the end of the day, it's just like you are creative, but at the end of the day, you are a disciple, and that's what Jesus specifically explains. He explains you are to go out in the world and make disciples of other people. So, like Gene said, like he was like, I don't want to get deep about it, which is true, but at the same time, it is a deep topic that can go on for days. Yeah. But at the same time, your relationship with God is the most important. I realized at the end of last year that I just had to be honest with myself, and I was riding in the car one day and I said, you know what, God, I do wrong because I'm not in love with you. And I need to get to a point before you bless me, open up any other door. I need to be in love with you first, fully, so I don't make the mistakes that I've seen being made in life, that I've seen made on platforms. Because you all know somebody. And you be like, I know when you get off the stage what you about to go do.
Yeah.
Or before you get on the stage, I know what you about to go do. And I don't want to ever put myself in that position. Or if I am blessed to play with a certain artist, then I can be like, you know what, that's not for me. Like, you do what you got to do, and I'm going to do what I got to do. But at the same time, like I said, I just was straight up. But my relationship with God, and I feel like everybody in this room, everybody's relationship with God is number one priority.
Facts. What's for you is for you, bro. And it goes back to being sure, you know, mentally. Like, look, God got me here for a reason. If they kick me off the tour for talking about God, if they fire me from my job for playing gospel music, bro, them other folk, I ain't gonna,
You'll be surprised how many people in the dark want light.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised.
And
that's the honest God's truth.
That
is
honest. Just saying that you being the light.
People want peace more than they put on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, people, and you coming there with a calm and a coolness, and they're like, there's something different about you. And I'm telling you, it happens all the time. People seek peace more than they want to put on, and so it ain't always. They might put on the front about the drug use and living that life where they running through the streets and this gunplay. People seek peace. Like this, we want peace and security. It's something called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's like at the basic of it is just food, shelter, love, acceptance, wanting to belong. Like, we want that. I don't care what anybody says. Black, white, red. We want that. And somehow we've been led to believe that the quality of some people's lives is just, gunplay, drug use. Like, that's what the life is. You could put on, but at the end of the day, you want to go home and you want to have somebody you love. You want to have kids. You want to have steady income. You want peace.
Right.
Yeah.
And so a lot of them out here living wild. When you come in there with a little bit of peace, they're like, dang, I need some of that. Because right now I don't have
his energy different.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's breathing.
Straight up.
He's breathing.
And I trust them. I ain't got to worry about them stealing from me. You know what I mean? Like, it's a whole different.
Yeah. And it's like he said earlier, like, I'm in a discipleships group now, and the guy that disciples me, he came to me when I came to the church, and he was like, hey, look, I don't know you from Adam, but at the same time, I feel like you'll be a good candidate in my group where I'm going to disciple you. And what will happen is, like, we'll talk about God. We'll talk about real life situations, marriage, finances. And, I was just like, yeah, I do need to get close to God. This would be kind of cool. And I went into it real iffy. But at the same time, now that I'm in the group with the boys, I'm just like,
nigga, God,
yo, I needed this. Like, I needed this. And just like he said, he was like, you want to be blessed to go out on the road and stuff again. But you never know what that artist is going to go through. So you might be the disciple that disciples them. And like you said earlier, people call you, well, like Gene was saying earlier, people will call him and be like, how do you handle this mentally? How do you do it? And you never know what light you're gonna bring to that darkness. Because like you said, everybody, I don't care, boss, it could be a boss out there to be like,
yo, looking real confident.
Keep that God stuff to yourself. And you come in, play your little gospel music, you could be humming, and they be like, you know, go in there off and shut it up, be like, Lord.
Bro, that's how it is at my job right now. I said, bro, this year I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. I lied to you not before I got off work just now. Cats in there that don't like me. 2 or 3 of my enemies then came up to me, yo, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I could retaliate, I could snap on you, but I'm not gonna, you know, I'm gonna show the God in me, you know what I mean? Hey, keep my mouth shut. Bro, you 20 years older than me.
I always say be the light.
That part.
I always say be the light.
They
so
can't
I don't have to say anything. I don't have to defend myself. That's God. God sees me. I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is make sure that I line myself up with the word of God and just move forward doing my job.
Be sure.
I mean, I had so many situations, and that's one reason why I became an owner. Because I said, God, how can I deal with this? You know what I mean? How can I deal with this? There's nothing. People in this world, and it's because of who you are and the God in you, they just don't like you. They don't really have a specific reason.
Right.
It's literally what they really want to be in you. So they don't have a reason to not like you. It's like, okay, if they really doing a full assessment on themselves, it's like, God, I really want to be like Erik. I really, you know, the most times I find people, they judge something that they want to be like.
Right.
And that's, you go back to the insecurity, not knowing who you are or whatever. And then it's formed to a jealous spirit.
Yeah.
So in my walk, I just want to be the light. Sometimes I used to go home and just be like, God, why did you put me in this situation? Like, what is it? What is it? And, you know, it started to dawn on me like, okay, I'm not doing nothing wrong. I'm doing an excellent job. But these are individuals. Let me just be God. Okay, let me be like Jesus Christ. That's how I used to say
Try
in my
your
head.
best.
Let me just do him. Let me just be the light. Because at one particular time in employment, this person who didn't even know God, she just started talking about God. Didn't he like me?
Yeah.
She just started talking about God in that conversation. It seems like every time she wanted to come to my office and we just have talks about God, because I didn't force anything on her.
That's the
I
importance.
lived that life.
You live the
They can
life
see it
of
on you.
what a Christian looks like. You know what I mean? So sometimes you can just be the light. You
And
don't
I
really have
agree.
to say anything.
I agree with that being a light. Not even to cut you off, bro. Like, as that relates to, like, a musician would ask, how does this relate to my situation? So if you're in the camp, even you as an artist, when you were singing with some of the artists you know sing with, it's like you get around new personalities. And you're going to feel energy. Some people going to be intimidated. Some people going to show love. Some people going to be like, nah, I just don't know yet. Let me chill. Same with musicians. You get in the camp and, you know, I hear managers giving hard times and da-da-da-da. Be the light in the situation. You know what I mean? Always rely and depend on God. And if you got the gig, bro, you got the gig for a reason. There's no need to be intimidated once you're on the gig, bro. And, you know, pray to God. If it's for you, you're gonna be on the gig as long as you need to be, whether it be secular or gospel, I feel like. You know, most of the times they let the person that's the most godly pray in a secular situation, pray before the gig anyway. Mm-hmm. And it'd be funny to me because it's like, yo, y'all really about to go out here and sing about this with y'all? And I'm not judging them, but it's just like, I respect that y'all took time to pray, and I respect the fact that y'all let the most godliest person you felt pray at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're in the light.
You're open to it.
I don't care. It's always going to stand out. I don't care where you at. I don't care where you at, what music, whatever. God is always going to be primary.
That's it.
You always going to have that.
Especially if you churchy. If you churchy,
yo, even worse,
you can't run from it. You can be like, yeah, like, oh yeah,
Doc,
y'all about to go do this? Then you'll be like, then someone tap you on your shoulder, be like, yeah, I'm just,
it's like, nah,
I'm just going over here.
He go to
drink
church
my water.
He know the Lord.
Go over here and drink my water. Yeah, they're gonna be like, and even with certain situations that I've been in, it's like I might read, like when I was in the academy, sometimes I might read my Bible like in between times. And some people will go do some stuff, and it's just like, I'll be like, oh, I'm coming, and they'll just be like,
because they know
what you're gonna go do is go sit down and finish doing what you were doing, because they respected me and I respected them, and they knew in their head they were just like, it's just something about you that we know you're not finna come do.
They're not comfortable even doing it around you in your presence,
exactly.
Right.
So it's just
that's
like,
real.
yeah.
Hey, that's cool. I'd be happy about that. But I did not to, go too deep, but I just wanted to, throw God in that situation and see what was our thoughts and, being musicians, artists, and health, what you want to call it, mental health, What's the title?
It could be anything.
Mental health
workers,
like I
owners.
Respect it,
Well, he owns. I own my own practice.
Yep. Let's get it. But I like this part right here. I like to every episode ask some of our listeners some questions or get them to submit some questions on what they wanted to know. So just real briefly, I got one from DeAndre Bennett. If you have a mental health issue, how does it play a part in your creative process?
That's good.
If you have a mental health issue, okay, because I'm looking at it, it's not really mental illness, mental health. If I don't have any peace,
I don't know if you,
because the question was initially mental illness, but you defined it already, so that's why I was like, all right, well maybe you mean mental health.
So mental health, I think, will make more sense because all of us have mental health. Of course, mental health is the quality of our mental state, our emotions. If we're struggling with stress and lack of sleep and lack of boundary setting and self-care, then all that is going to play into your ability to create.
Right.
I feel like I'm my most creative when I'm rested and I'm focused. Anytime any one of those things are taken and my focus is taken, then my ability to create is as well. I also realize my creativity is really tied to my relationship with God, because I tell people my best writing and stuff comes when it's downloaded. And so I think,
so you preaching?
Yeah, no, because I really believe. Again, I say
he said downloaded. That's real.
We're linked to the Creator and God. And I think one thing people got to realize, like, if you want some creativity, ask God for it. And if you have a relationship, I promise He'll download it to you in your sleep, in the shower, while you're brushing your teeth.
That's
right.
But
that requires a certain level of focus and prayer and just being in tune with God and making sure you're good. And I think once all that is together, I believe that your creative process will be good. But I feel like when all that's off,
I
call that positioning.
Yeah. That's good. When all that's off, you
can tell. Go rewrite that.
And you're gonna want to create, but it's not gonna be satisfying. You're gonna want to create, it's not gonna make sense.
Yeah.
You're gonna want to create, but it's feel like it's been done before. Yeah.
That's real. I agree 100%, man.
Yeah, and to piggyback off that a little bit, it's a lot of people that feel like it's popularity now to me that you listen to a lot of artists.
Or a specific genre to create your lane is like, bro, you gonna sound just like them.
And not even that, it's just like you listen to certain artists and they'll be on these interviews and you'll be like, well, what inspired you? Oh, well, my mom. And I understand that. I totally get it. But at the same time, just be 100% honest. Now, if your mom grew up a certain way, I can't judge you.
Right.
But at the same time, it need to be more real answers. Like Gene said, like, nah, I can't create unless I didn't ask God who created me. Yeah. And I think a lot of people are just scared to step on it.
And it's not that I'm sitting here every day like, oh, God, give it down.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm saying, I was like, God, if I'm releasing a project this year that's take 2 years to do, because I didn't want to just put something out. Yeah. Just to put it out. Like, I want to make sure it was creative. It had a different sound. Lyrically, it was different. And so I just feel like it's some things I'd be like, I'm driving and it'd be like, oh, this is an idea concept. And He'll give you the grace to flush it out.
Yeah.
So I feel like when you're aligned and your focus or position, like you said, a lot of that won't be impacted.
That's well
I
answered.
I always define my life as being placed or you being positioned.
Mm-hmm.
And so place is when you don't get the rest, you don't get the sleep, or you don't do the self-care. You're being placed because that's an emotional thing that you all over the place or whatever. But when you're in position, some of the symptoms some of the things that you were saying is right. He's in position not only to hear God clearly, but also to create.
Come on,
man. That's facts though, man.
So,
that's good stuff.
Hey,
so that was good for me.
Place of position. That's
and sometimes you won't necessarily hear from God, but He'll put you in a place where you
can hear.
Where you can. It's just it's brewing and it's.
I might have to label this episode that, bro. Like that's how serious that is.
Yeah,
like the difference. That's dope. I'm glad we answered that. I got another question. We only got 2 more.
Okay,
I got one more from Brooklyn, and the question is music a form of therapy, or is it more stressful because of the bread and butter situation?
It could be both. You actually have music. You have music therapy. That's actually.
So my brother.
I was looking at something. I thought it was really, really interesting. It was a older woman in a nursing home. She had to be like 80. She had Alzheimer's, and it was something about when they played the music, she was able to recall like some of the lyrics, singing it.
Is that Grandma Daisy?
I don't know.
They made a movie like that. It's called Coco.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was
Same
trying to figure out what it is about music that could do that. And so they said it's something deeper in music we don't really understand, that it really is therapeutic.
Very therapeutic.
I agree.
It's just even think about if you have a good day, you put on the right song.
Yo,
if you had a bad day, you want to cry.
To
You find them the saddest song you could ever find.
I mean, no, seriously. I think music is such a strong thing to sometimes gain emotional stability. Mm-hmm. I do. I just think that, I mean, for me, I mean, if I listen to gospel, it puts me in a different way. If I listen to R&B, it puts me in a different way. I mean,
that's like on the way to church, yo. I keep it hot with you, man. Like, and I like to talk from just regular experiences. On the way to church, yo, if you bumping the praise break, you hype. You get look. Don't matter what happened right before. You ain't even get out the car before the song goes.
String could break.
Listen,
still gonna give it up.
Praise it, right? You feel me? Like praise and worship gonna be lit or whatever, because you're trying to tap in, But even after church, I might bump a little trap, some feel good trap, not nothing crazy, nothing out of pocket, but it's just like, yes, it's therapeutic. And I feel like she was asking that question in the sense of like, we'll say church musicians. Is it, some musicians, like you mentioned earlier, they I love playing drums, it's cool. But when the money get low or they start, playing with your money or vice versa, too many services or whatever, or they not learning music, it's just not fun anymore. But I got to stay here because this how I pay my bills.
Well, I mean, it's all over my heart. I tell a lot of musicians, don't get to the place where that might be your only source of income. Like sometimes you might have to get a little second job so that won't be a stressor.
If you have to get a 9 to 5,
there's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with
the
it.
9 to 5.
I feel like some musicians feel like I ain't gotta do it. Well, no, you want to make sure you're not stressed out, not being able to pay your bills. Get your little.
That's a balance.
Get your little pay to the order of, brother.
As I said on my last episode, I had to learn that I prefer my stability over my passion. And that was heavy to be able to say, because, I want to tour. I want to travel the world playing arenas, but I need a house, bro.
But see, I think
somewhere to lay down. Like,
people say passion. Passion is something that I always tell people they battle with, because passion sometimes can lead you into destruction. And so, the heart is deceitful. So you can be so passionate about something and make no money.
Yeah.
You can be passionate about something and you can lose your house. So you gotta, to me, it comes with more of an order and a level of passion that you should have in order to create a balance.
Yeah.
Come on.
And it all goes back to your relationship with God.
Always.
It always
everything
starts
is always
there,
go back to your source.
and it ends there.
There you go.
Like you said, if you want to be a full-time musician,
the beginning and the end, bro. That's real.
If you want to be a full-time musician, it's cool. But if in your mind, it's just like, all right, well, I ain't going on the road tomorrow. Then be smart and get you a little something on the side.
I'm gonna keep it, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about, and I feel like I'm not gonna speak for everybody, case. I ain't speaking for mine either. I don't have that peer pressure problem. You know what I mean? But I feel like it's peer pressure because some cats want to say, "Yo, I'm on the road," or "I'm a full-time musician." But my thing is like, where's your market at, bro? Like, we in North Carolina, bro.
But is that for clout?
Yeah, like
very much so.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and it's
some people do that. They do stuff for clout, and that goes back to that insecurity thing.
And that's when you be like, "Let me see your credit score."
Let's talk about that. Wait, do you have a credit card? We got financial episodes on this season, bro. We had the first episode was so good, we had to bring up a second one, and it's just like we're talking about, like, bro, you don't even have a savings. What are your forms of payment? Like, you don't send me a Facebook barcode, bro.
Just because you're a professional musician does not excuse you not being an adult.
I'm laughing because we just went over that on last Sunday with Pastor.
So
and he was talking about miracle signs and wonders, right? And he said, some people want a house, but your credit score is a 4. So.
You don't need a house.
So they don't look at they thinking they living like, oh, I'm gonna either hit the lottery or God is gonna just bless me and do this. No. Mm-hmm. He's gonna do that, but work on your credit.
You gotta do your part.
No, work on your credit. Faith without work is what?
It's dead, bro.
Okay, work on your credit. So I mean, I call it, it's another subject.
That's real.
Yeah, that can go for days.
Go for days.
But at the end of the day, like we said, like you even said, it's just you have to meet. You got to meet God somewhere. It ain't like it's gonna be like, all right, I want to hit the road.
Yeah.
do it, and it's not gonna happen. Like, okay, well, you need to work up to this point where I can trust you and get the door open
at a minimum.
Well, I don't know in musicians. And let me ask this question: I would look at it as anything like contracts. Contracts are not solid. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So I need to have some type of full stability in my life to make sure that I cover that, because contracts can work out. And I speak for myself when it comes to business. Yes, I have 3 great contracts. However, I don't depend on that. That's why I'm getting full time. You know what I mean? So contracts can end at any time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure you guys' jobs can end at any time. You know, if you even work for a church.
Anytime.
It can end.
Oh yeah.
It can end at any time. So I believe in having 5 strings of income anyway. But you know, having that stability, it can relieve a lot of stress.
I agree, man.
The word is
I agree 100%.
replaceable.
Don't let
you are replaceable.
the church be your only form of income, bro. Multiple streams. Like I even told God several times, bro. Like, and I don't depend on it. I got a couple W-2s. You feel me? Like, and that's by choice. And I'm grateful. God is, not like the under the table situations, but I told God like maybe a couple months ago. I said, God, I'll continue to play for you for free, bro. As long as you can keep me stable, and I know you will. Good. So I'm not worried. The fact that when you put it out there, it's like God will make you eat your words, bro.
Yes, He will.
So if it happens, hey, cool, I got you. I'm still gonna give you 110. You know what I mean? Like y'all see what it is on Sunday. So it's like it's a blessing, bro. So I think that was a dope question. In regards to money and stress and stuff like that. Music being a form of therapy. Last question was from Tremaine Lee. How do musicians effectively handle peer pressure as it relates to like substance abuse and drugs?
Well,
like, cause you smoke weed, I gotta smoke weed, bro.
Nah, I'll just come from a personal
young
place.
Musicians? Oh.
Yo, no.
I mean, older than the two, but I'm just saying.
On the road, catch that
you gotta just kind of know what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do. Like, you gotta know who you are. I think a lot of times that comes with people who don't really know who they are. Yeah. And you'd be surprised, not just 21-year-olds that don't know who they are. It's 50-year-olds who don't know who they are.
They kick you off the gig, bro.
I definitely
if everybody on the van smoking, you don't. It's like, yo, why you being a cornball, bro? Or like, why you being an eyeball? And then they'll really feel away and let you go. But that goes back to being sure who you are.
You gotta be really sure. Have to be grounded in who you are. I mean, because you're gonna be in environments that, of course, that's gonna be uncomfortable, and questions is gonna come to you and question your integrity. But you have to stand solid.
That part.
That is true. That is true.
Because my thing, you don't want to ever give in, and then it's a moment that presents itself where you need to be light.
Right.
And that moment that you participated in kind of damages your witness.
Yeah.
It comes back. There you go. That's what I was gonna say earlier. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to damage your witness.
And it's also and it also goes back to the explaining the difference between mental health and mental illness. It's the same thing about everything. Like, I struggled with some years and some months after my father passed away with substance abuse, and I told nobody. I mean, people saw it sometimes because my close friends were there, but at the same time, I didn't tell anybody because I was like, well, I really don't want y'all to worry about me, and this is how I'm coping. But at the same time, if you are not exposed to that world, then I would say, like you said, stay rooted in who you are. Bro. Don't be like, oh, well, yeah, let me just take a shot because I've never done it. Because me coming from a substance abuse family and me personally abusing the substance is just like, it's hard to get out of that. It's hard to get out of that stuff. And you're asking for demons that you don't ever
ain't ready for it. Some people like, oh, it's just weed. Cool. What if it's crack? Or like, what if it's a line?
It's a shot. It's a shot one day.
Yeah.
And then it graduates to something else. And next thing is you doing a whole bunch of just crazy stuff because you allowed yourself to.
You couldn't say no.
Because you like to play with demons. And that's just the honest God's truth. It's just.
People smoking weed are playing with demons.
Right.
But it's the truth, though. It's just like, oh, let me take this shot. And then next thing you know, like you said, is, oh, well, that wasn't so bad.
Yeah, let me try.
Well, I've never been in the ABC store before.
Yeah.
Wow, let me just go in there and browse around. Let me just go learn what brown and whites do for me.
Right.
And it's just like, secretly, you're taking on different demons that's just gonna be like, yeah, we've been waiting on you.
Word.
So yeah, it's definitely have a prayer. I would say have a prayer.
Different.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't even want to touch it.
That's
yeah,
that's a whole different.
Well,
that's under the surface. But, nah, I don't want to touch it.
Yeah,
but Great.
Nah,
Great.
It's
Great on that.
Well, yeah, I
Right.
mean, you know, we can wrap it up on that situation. So what I would want to leave the musician community, are there any free resources for them to, talk to people or get help for those who have mental illness issues or mental health issues, that's affecting them, depression or whatever falls under that umbrella of mental health?
I would tell people, first of all, if you have insurance, call your insurance providers and ask them for mental health providers in your area.
Mm-hmm.
And then ask them about the fee, co-pays and kind of what that looks like and how many sessions come under that. And I say this all the time, to be honest, it's really hard to kind of access mental health sometimes for free.
Right.
But there are some people that are willing to do it pro bono, but you have to kind of seek those people out.
In that area. In that type of area.
Dope.
Yeah.
That's good.
But the first step is to call your insurance
Call the
provider
company.
and ask them, hey, look, I need a therapist in this area. And so what happens is they'll pull up a list of therapists who are in your zip code and they give you their names.
That's real. Okay. So musicians, y'all need insurance. And if you ain't got it, try Christ.
Try or go to the hospital to
Yeah,
ask
go
them.
to the hospital.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
there
for
are
real.
funds for people that do not have any type of insurance, but those companies, it's only a certain amount of companies that do that. But go to the hospital. I mean, it's a way to get help. Instead of sitting on it. It's a way to get help.
That's real. Well, I appreciate it. There are some resources. I feel like we covered this topic. Any last words, any last advice, tips, topics? We cool? Well, thank you for another episode of Musicians Exchange Podcast Season 2.